Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiriyet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatu Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So we just finished the month of Kartik, and the day after the month of Kartik, this Katyayni Vrata starts. So actually it so happened that Kartik Purnima at the end of the Kartik month, so Krishna again had his Ras Leela. But in that Ras Leela, now the gopis wanted Krishna as their husbands. Not just the gopis, actually Bhagavatam says gopikas. Gopikas means little gopis. So they wanted to have Krishna as their husband. And they were advised by, I believe, Purnamasi herself, that they should worship Mother Katyayani. Katyayani is the deity of Durga ji, but Acharyas have explained, of course it will come in the shlokas, Acharyas have explained that this is not material Durga, this is spiritual Durga or Yogamaya herself. And so even if they worship Durga ji, all these gopikas, because sometimes people say, no, we are not supposed to worship demigod, but the gopikas, when they worship the Durga ji, even if it is material, even if we think it is material, she was material Durga ji, still it wasn't wrong because they wanted Krishna as their husband. Their only desire was to have Krishna as their husband. They didn't have any other material desire to be fulfilled. So that is why their worship and their devotion was considered supreme, topmost. So this is, I'll read some verses from 10th canto, 22nd chapter. This 22nd chapter is where this Katyayni Vrata is mentioned. And we'll discuss on the way. So I'll not read the verse, just the translations. So first text, Shukdev Goswami said, during the first month of the winter season, the young unmarried girls of Gokul observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyayani. For the entire month, they ate only unspiced khichdi. So this was one of the rules of worshipping Durga ji, that they had to eat only unspiced khichdi. And Prabhupada mentions in, okay, now we have to understand this 10th canto, 22nd chapter. Srila Prabhupada gave his commentaries until the last day, he was still giving his commentaries. So until 10th canto, 13th chapter. And this is where Prabhupada ended. So afterwards, 10th canto and rest of chapters and 11th and 12th canto, the commentaries were written by Prabhupada's disciples. GBC appointed 3-4 disciples to finish the rest of the Bhagavatam. So they have written the rest of the purports. But Prabhupada had already given the book, Krishna book, which is 10th canto summary study. So they back and forth, they refer to the Krishna book and they take specific sentences out of the Krishna book stories, and then they refer to it. Prabhupada commented that, Prabhupada wrote that. So this is in the purport where they write, Srila Prabhupada comments that the gopis first ate havishyana, a kind of food prepared by boiling together moong dal and rice without any spices or turmeric. According to Vedic injunction, this kind of food is recommended to purify the body before one enacts a ritualistic ceremony. So for 1 month, they only ate this unspiced khichdi. What else they did? My dear king, so Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, after they had bathed in the water of Yamuna, just as sun was rising, the gopis made an earthen deity of goddess Durga on the river bank. Then they worshipped her with such aromatic substances as sandalwood bulb, along with other items, both opulent and simple, including lamps, fruits, betel nuts, newly grown leaves, and fragrant garlands and incense. So, in this month, Margashirsha, when you all know how cold it is getting in Delhi, And they all had to get up early, and just as the sun was rising, they would take bath in river Yamuna. So it is really cold, the banks of Yamuna at this time, and they had to take bath so early in the morning over there. Each of the young unmarried girls performed her worship while chanting the following mantra. O goddess Katyayni, a great potency of the Lord, O possessor of the great mystic power and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. So their only desire was to have Krishna as their husbands. That's all. Text 5. Thus, for an entire month, the girls carried out their vow and properly worshipped the goddess Bhadrakali or Katyayani, fully absorbing their minds on Krishna and meditating upon the following thought: May the son of King Nanda become my husband. Each day they rose at dawn, calling out to one another by name. They all held hands and loudly sang the glories of Krishna while going to Kalindi to take their bath. Now, if whenever by Krishna's mercy, if we ever get a chance, so there is a place where Krishna stole the clothes of gopis. So this at the bank of Yamuna. So that is the place where they perform this Katyayani Puja. And it's not, well, there's a replica in Vrindavan. When we do Vrindavan Parikrama, there's a replica of that tree, but the original tree is little far away. It's not in Vrindavan, it's in a different village in Braj. So from Vrindavan, or from all over Braj, these little gopikas would come early morning. And see, in the translation it says, the girls carried out their vow and properly, okay. Each day they rose at dawn, calling out to one another by name, they all held hands and loudly sang the glories of Krishna. So there was no enviousness among all of these girls. They would call each other out. If somebody is left sleeping, they would call her, okay, you come. Although their goal was only one, to have Krishna as a husband. Everybody was having the same goal. But there was no enviousness among all of them. They all cooperated with each other. Not just cooperated, they helped each other to achieve Krishna as a husband. No enviousness, no competition at all. It wasn't like, oh, if she gets Krishna as her husband, I will not get. So why should I help her? Very, very important thing to understand. This is what pleased Krishna. Of course, their surrender, their devotion, their sacrifice, everything else also. But this is one of the things that really pleased Krishna. And this is what Srila Prabhupada also, towards the last days of his stay in the material world, he did say that your love for me will be shown how you cooperate with each other. He told his disciples. The Gopikas, they really understood what Krishna wanted. By helping each other, they understood this will please Krishna. And they not just helping in the sense, not in a condescending way, but in a very cooperative way, in a jubilant way. Not thinking, oh, I am better than others, so I should make them get up early. No, they all were thinking the same. And they were also excited to go to the river Kalindi or Yamuna to take the bath early morning. One day they came to the river bank and putting aside their clothing, as they had done before, happily played in the water while singing the glories of Krishna. So this was towards the end of Katyayni Vrata month. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this incident occurred on the day the young gopis completed their vow, which was a full moon day. To celebrate the successful completion of their vow, the girls invited young Radharani, the daughter of Vishmanu, and the special object of their affection, along with other important gopis, and brought them all to the river to bathe. So this day, Srimati Radharani and other gopis like Lalita, Vishakha, they also came because they were not part of Katyayni Vrata, because they didn't have to observe any Katyayni Vrata to have Krishna as a husband. This was for all the young gopikas who still had not, like what they say, no, not crossed the line yet, not completely there yet. So it was for them. But Radharani came that day, and Lalita, Vishakha, other gopis also came, just to make sure now everything is okay. Now these girls are graduating and getting Krishna as a husband. And look at Srimati Radharani. She is there and she is not getting jealous or envious of anybody. She's so happy that all these gopikas are going to get Krishna as their husband. Their playing in the water was meant to serve as the Avabhrita Snan, the ceremonial bath taken immediately upon the completion of a Vedic sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada comments as follows: it's an old system among Indian girls and women that when they take bath in river, they place their garments on the bank and dip into the water completely naked. The portion of the river where girls and women take bath was strictly prohibited to any male, and this is still the system. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing the minds of the unmarried young gopis, awarded them the desired objective. They had prayed for Krishna to become their husband, and Krishna wanted to fulfill their desires. Now they had done their sacrifice, and now they had only a single desire that Krishna should become our husband. Now Krishna was going to respond to their desires and fulfill their desires. But Krishna is not going to fulfill the desires the way the gopis wanted. Krishna is going to fulfill the desire the way he wants. So that is the twist. We can do the sacrifice, we can do our austerities, we can do our penance, we can do our japa, we can do our devotional service. But we cannot expect to Krishna to fulfill our desires the way we want. He is going to do the way he wants. And he is going to make sure that he makes us surrender completely. Now look at what happens. Text 8. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Master of all masters of mystic yoga, was aware of what the gopis were doing, and thus he went there surrounded by his young companions to award the gopis the perfection of their endeavor. So here, Shukdev Goswami, he is calling Krishna as Yogeshwareshwaraha. He is a master of mystic yoga. Means he still wants to make sure that we understand who Krishna is. Although in 9th cantos and 9 cantos before this and 21 chapters of 10th canto, Shukdev Goswami has established the position of Krishna. Still, many people, when they read this chapter and other chapters of Ras Leela and other intimate pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, they tend to think, oh, Krishna was just a lusty teenager boy. That's not what Krishna is. He is Yogeshwareshwara. He is a master of all mystic yoga. And one cannot become a master of mystic yoga if one has any even tinge of sense gratification in him, material sense gratification. And moreover, Krishna went there to fulfill the desires of all these gopikas. They wanted Krishna as their husband, and Krishna was fulfilling the desire. There's nothing wrong with that. As a master of all masters of mystic power, Lord Krishna could easily understand the desire of the gopis, and he could also fulfill them. The gopis, like all young girls from respectable families, considered the embarrassment of appearing naked before a young boy to be worse than giving up their lives. Yet Lord Krishna made them come out of the water and bow down to him. Although the bodily forms of the gopis were all fully developed, and although Krishna met them in a secluded place and brought them fully under his control, because the Lord is completely transcendental, there was not a trace of material desire in his mind. So there was no question of ordinary lust in that in this pastime. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the companions of Krishna mentioned here were mere toddlers, 2 or 3 years old, and they were also completely naked and were unaware of the difference between male and female. When Krishna went out to herd the cows, they followed him because they were so attached to him that they could not bear to be without his association. So these gopikas, they were bathing in Yamuna. Krishna was out herding the cows with his friends. But in the middle of cow herding, he told them, okay, you guys stay here, I'll be back. I'll be back in a while. So because Krishna knew what's going to happen, so he came to this part of this banks of Yamuna. But these little boys, they could not live without Krishna. They could not live with Krishna. So they came along. And Krishna also brought them along because they were really mere toddlers, 2 or 3 years old. And they could come here. And Krishna did not even bring his close Madhumangal and Sudama and Sridham. He didn't even bring them with him because he knew what's going to happen here. But these little boys could come, there was no problem at all. Taking the girl's garments, he quickly climbed to the top of a Kadamba tree. So Kadamba tree was, as you can see in the painting, Kadamba tree was right at the banks of Yamuna. And Krishna collected the garments of the girls because they had left the garments on the banks of Yamuna and they took bath. And he climbed up on the top of the tree. Then as he laughed loudly and his companions also laughed, he addressed the girls jokingly. Lord Krishna said, my dear girls, you may each come here as you wish and take back your garments. I'm telling the truth and I'm not joking with you, since I see you are fatigued from executing austere vows. Now that's really embarrassing situation for the girls. They're completely naked and they are in water and it is cold and Krishna has stolen their clothes. And Krishna is telling them, you come out and take the clothes. There's no problem. Text 11. I have never before spoken a lie. This is what Krishna is saying, although he's known for telling lies. And these boys know it. Therefore, slender waisted girls, please come forward, either one by one or all together, and pick out your clothes. Next one, 12. Seeing how Krishna was joking with them, the gopis became fully immersed in love for him. And as they glanced at each other, they began to laugh and joke among themselves, even in their embarrassment. But still, they did not come out of the water. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, the gopis were from most respectable families, and they might have argued with Krishna. Why don't you simply leave our clothes on the bank of the river and go away? We'll come and collect our clothes. Krishna might have replied, but there are so many of you that some of the girls might take clothes belonging to another. Gopis would reply, we are honest and never steal anything. Whenever we never touch another's property. Then Krishna would say, oh, if that is true, then simply come out and get your clothes. What's the difficulty? Now that is a real embarrassing situation. When the gopis saw Krishna's determination, they were filled with loving ecstasy. Although embarrassed, they were overjoyed to receive such attention from Krishna. He was joking with them as they were his wives or girlfriends, and the gopis' only desire was to achieve such a relationship with him. At the same time, they were embarrassed to be seen naked by him. But still, they could not help laughing at his joking words and even began to joke among themselves. One gopi urging another, oh, go ahead, you go first, and let us see if Krishna plays any tricks on you. Then we'll go later. Text 13. As Shri Govinda spoke to the gopis in this way, his joking words completely captivated their minds. Submerged to their necks in the cold water, they began to shiver. Thus they addressed him as follows. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives further commentary on this. Krishna said, O bird-like girls, if you do not come here, then with these garments caught in the branches, I'll make you a swing and a hammock. I need to lie down and I'm very tired since I have spent the entire night awake and now I am becoming sleepy. Gopi said, "Our dear cowherd boy, your cows, greedy for grass, have gone into a cave, so you must quickly go there to herd them back on the proper path." Krishna said, "Come now, my dear cowherd girls. You must quickly go from here to Vraj and perform your household duties. Don't become a disturbance to your parents and other elders." Gopi said, "Our dear Krishna will not go home for an entire month, for it is by the order of our parents and other elders that we are executing this vow of fasting, the Katyayni Vrata." Krishna said, my dear austere ladies, I too, by the strength of seeing you, have now developed a surprising mood of detachment from family life. I wish to stay here for a month and execute the vow of dwelling in the clouds. And if you show mercy to me, I can come down from here and observe the vow of fasting in your company. So he is saying, gopis are saying, "Oh, we'll stay here for a month, we'll not go home." And Krishna says, "Okay, I'll also stay here for a month." Now the gopis are caught. Now what to do? Gopis said, text 14, "Dear Krishna, don't be unfair. We know that you're the respectable son of Nanda and that you are honored by everyone in Braj. You are also very dear to us. Please give us back our clothes. We are shivering in the cold water." Text 15. "O Shyam Sundar, we are your maid servants and must do whatever you say. But give us back our clothing. You know what the religious principles are. And if you don't give us your clothes back, we'll have to tell the king." King means Kansa. Prabhupada wrote in this in Krishna book, when the gopis saw that Krishna was strong and determined, they had no alternate but to abide by his order. Actually, okay, somewhere it is mentioned. When gopis said, "Okay, we'll tell King Kansa," and Krishna was like, "Oh, I don't care for him. He's an old man. I don't care for even for telling him, even for complaining to him, you have still have to come out." So this is what Krishna said, "I'm telling you, come out and take your clothes. What's the problem?" Text 17. Then shivering from the painful cold, all the young girls rose up out of the water, covering the pubic area with their hands. The gopis had assured Krishna that they were his eternal servants and would do whatever he said, and thus they were now defeated by their own words. If they delayed any longer, they thought some other man might come along, and this would be unbearable for them. The gopis loved Krishna so much that even in that awkward situation, the attachment to him was increasing more and more, and they were very eager to stay in his company. Thus, they did not even consider drowning themselves in the river because of the embarrassing situation. They concluded that they could do nothing but go forward to their beloved Krishna, putting aside their embarrassment. Thus, the gopis assured each other that there was no alternative and rose out of the water to meet him. When the Supreme Lord saw how the gopis were struck with embarrassment, he was satisfied by their pure loving affection. Putting their clothes on his shoulder, the Lord smiled and spoke to them with affection. So gopis now had fully surrendered, and they said, "Krishna, we are like your maid servants, so we'll abide by the order." And they came out. But Krishna still wanted them to surrender more. See, this is, I mean, this is this is the way Krishna works. He wants to see our surrender, full surrender. Full surrender doesn't mean he's going to embarrass us. Of course, it's going to be, at that moment, it might look like it is very embarrassing, or it's for especially for the gopis, or it could be, oh, it's very painful, the situation, or whatever it is. But the idea is that this particular devotee should not rely upon anybody except me. That's what he wants to do. And that is our ticket back to Golok Vrindavan. Text 19. Krishna said, "You girls bathe naked while executing your vow, and that is certainly an offense against the demigods. To counteract your sin, You should offer obeisances while placing your joint palms above your heads. Then you should take back your lower garments. So this is actually considered an offense to bathe naked against the demigod Varuna, who's in charge of water. So Krishna said, so this is an offense. So you should pay obeisances by joining your palms and raising your hands like this. So why? Krishna wanted to see the full surrender of the gopis, and thus he ordered them to offer obeisances with their palms joined above their heads. In other words, the gopis could no longer cover their bodies. We should not foolishly think that Lord Krishna is an ordinary lusty boy enjoying the naked beauty of the gopis. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, and he was acting to fulfill the loving desire of the young cowherd girls of Vrindavan. In this world, we would certainly become lusty in a situation like this, but to compare ourselves to God is a great offense. And because of this offense, we'll not be able to understand Krishna's transcendental position. For we will wrongly take him to be materially conditioned like ourselves. To lose transcendental sight of Krishna is certainly a great disaster for one trying to relish the bliss of the absolute truth. So Krishna just wanted to see the full surrender of the gopis. He didn't want to see the naked beauty of the gopis like purport in the purport devotees have mentioned. This was not his purpose. Of course, it's also mentioned in some places in Goswami literature that for devotees, us like us, sadhak devotees or neophyte devotees, still starting to make our mark in bhakti, still making some progress, still trying, struggling. It is said that one should not read Krishna's intimate dealings with with the gopis. Why? Because it might evoke some lusty desires in our hearts. Because we are not completely pure yet. Not even what do you say? Completely pure. We don't have any purity to even read those literatures. Of course, reading those literatures, and if we read Krishna book, where Prabhupada has also mentioned these pastimes. But if we read Krishna book, the way Prabhupada has mentioned, the Prabhupada, along with the pastime, he gives so much of philosophy that our mind does not get deviated. So reading Prabhupada books, there's no problem at all. But reading other literature where Radha Krishna pastimes or Krishna's pastimes, gopis are mentioned, but it could be mentioned in a way that might arouse lusty desires in our heart. So it is mentioned by Prabhupada somewhere, then we should stop reading those books right away. Because we are not there yet. That's all. This is a test. We are not there yet. It's not a matter of competition. It's not a matter of, oh, if somebody else is reading, I should also read. Or if somebody else is speaking on these pastimes, I should also speak. No. It's a matter of my own progress. It's a matter of my purification. It's a matter of my realization. If I'm not there, I have to admit and start back. There's nothing wrong. So there is no problem at all in reading Krishna's baby pastimes, babyhood pastimes, Bal Leela. No problem at all. And they are very pure, very, very purifying. Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. But Krishna's intimate pastimes, especially with Radharani and the gopis, one should only read if one thinks, or if he does not get any lusty desires in his heart. If at all we can understand or we develop these, even a tinge, we should stop it. Simple. It's a safe position for us to follow. Just like there's a book, Geet Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he took permission from Bhakti Vinod Thakur to read that book. Actually, now these days that book is available in Vrindavan, Moi Bazar at so many shops where Krishna's intimate pastimes are mentioned. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, he wanted to reprint that book. Bhakti Vinod Thakur told him, don't, no, don't. After 3, 4 times of asking for the permission, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, okay, you want to print this book? Print. But you print only 2 copies. One for you and one for me. That's it. Why? Because he said people are not ready. We are not ready. We are not qualified. We don't have that kind of entitlement, right? Yet. And we can make mistakes, and we do make mistakes in understanding Krishna's position, Radharani's position, and the intimate dealings. We do make mistakes. So best is, if you want to read the pastimes, Krishna's childhood pastimes, or Krishna's pastimes with gopis, but not the intimate ones. They're ready. We can read those. Because not every time we can discuss the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, we need something else also. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is wonderful. It's very full of rasa, but not everybody finds a taste in that. Okay, next verse. The young gopis, young girls of Vrindavan, considering what Lord Achyuta had told them, accepted that they had suffered a fall down from their vow by bathing naked in the river. But they still desired to successfully complete their vow. And since Lord Krishna is himself the ultimate result of all pious activities, they offered their obeisances to him to cleanse away all their sins. Seeing them bow down like that, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Devaki, gave them back their garments, feeling compassionate toward them and satisfied by their act. Although the gopis had been thoroughly cheated, deprived of their modesty, ridiculed, made to act just like toy dolls, and although their clothing had been stolen, they did not feel at all inimical towards Sri Krishna. Rather, they were simply joyful to have this opportunity to associate with their beloved. Srila Prabhupada comments, the attitude of the gopis is described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he prays, my dear Lord Krishna, you may embarrass me or trample me under your feet, or you may make me broken-hearted by never being present before me. Whatever you like, you can do, because you have complete freedom to act. But in spite of all your dealings, you are my eternal Lord eternally, and I have no other worshipable object. The gopis were addicted to associating with the beloved Krishna, and thus they became captivated by him. Thus, even after putting their clothes on, they did not move. They simply remained where they were, shyly glancing at him. The Supreme Lord understood the determination of the gopis in executing this strict vow. The Lord also knew that the girls desired to touch his lotus feet, and thus Lord Damodar, Krishna, spoke to them as follows. O saintly girls, I understand the real motive in this austerity has been to worship me. That intent of yours is approved of by me, and indeed it must come to pass. The desire of those who fix their minds on me does not lead to material desire or sense gratification. Just as barley corns burnt by the sun and then cooked can no longer grow into new sprouts. Go now, girls, and return to Vraj. Your desire is fulfilled, for in my company you will enjoy the coming nights. After all, this was the purpose of a vow to worship goddess Katyayni for pure-hearted ones. So thus, their desires were now fulfilled, and they returned back to their villages of Vraj, meditating all the while upon his lotus feet. So this was the gopis' desire was fulfilled because Lord Krishna had agreed to act as a husband. A young girl can never spend the night with any man except her husband, and thus when Krishna agreed to engage the girls, in the nocturnal rasa dance during the coming autumn season. In effect, he was agreeing to reciprocate the love for him in the role of a husband. So, in the coming autumn season, or whenever the next Ras Leela would happen, Krishna said, "Okay, you can come, you can enter," and then they had the Ras Leela, Ras dance. So some time later, Lord Krishna, son of Devaki, surrounded by his cowherd friends and accompanied by his elder brother, Balram, went a good distance away from Vrindavan, herding the cows. So after doing this pastime, he went back and he met Dauji and his other friends, and they started herding the cows again. So this is very, very important pastime for us to understand how to surrender to Krishna, how to achieve him by cooperating with all the other devotees, by serving in a mode of service, and then understanding that achieving Krishna is not going to be easy. No matter what we have to go through to achieve him, we should be ready to pay the price. And once, like these young gopikas, when they achieved him, then all the desires were fulfilled. They had no other desire left. That was it. No material desires, nothing else except having Krishna as a husband. And Krishna did accept all of them. Of course, in the painting, they were shown only few gopikas, but there were millions and millions of gopikas there. But again, that's why Prabhupada, again and again, he stressed on this point. It's important to hear these pastimes from a proper acharya. So we are fortunate to receive these messages from Prabhupada and Prabhupada's disciples. And under reading them in the right mood and when we are entitled. It's very important. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
You said that this first time we should not read unless our heart is free from all material desires. But is it okay to hear it from a acharya?
See, like we can read what Prabhupada has written, but if it still arouses some lusty desires in our heart, then we know where our situation is and we should stop. That's all.
Okay.
Even if you're listening from an acharya, if it arouses those desires, then we should not. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I mean, he discussed Sankirtan or Krishna's pastimes with everybody, but the intimate pastimes of Krishna and Radharani, he discussed with only few. Ramananda Rai, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Sikhi Mahiti, and his brother. That's it. Or sister, Madhvi. That's the 3.5 companions it is mentioned. He did not even discuss with Advaita Acharya, Nityanand Prabhu, Srinivas Thakur, anybody else. He was trying to make a point that these pastimes are not for everybody else to discuss or to hear from.
I got it. Thank you.
Any other question or comment? So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day, wonderful Sunday. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna
Thank you.
Prabhuji, Jai Shri Prabhupada.